Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I am back from Vegas and glad to be back in the studio here. I'm joined in studio today by our technical director and producer, Jonathan Voico.
Good morning.
Writer, director, producer, Robert Meyer Burnett.
Boy, oh boy, John, Superman and Fantastic Four, woohoo!
Going to be in theaters at the same time. I'm absolutely doing a doubleheader. And most importantly, of course, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. And here's how our show's going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a few predetermined topics we got lined up for you guys. Then in the second part of the show, that's when we're going to take your comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, question, or observation you'd like us to address, go ahead and fire it on into our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. And here's the good news about that tip link. It's actually good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you happen to be listening to our show on podcast, either on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or your favorite podcasting app of choice, by the way, guys, even if you watch a show on YouTube, go and subscribe to the podcast feed so it'll be there when you need it. Or if you happen to be watching the show a little bit later in the day, you can still fire in a question to that tip link. And if you send one in when we're not live, well, we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode. All right, guys, good to be back. Had a little, Ann and I did a quick little jaunt out to Vegas, did a whole lot in one overnight. We got a whole lot done in one overnight, but it's good to be back. And we got a ton crap of stuff to talk about here today. So let's get things started off with this. You know, I was real excited about that last Mortal Kombat movie that came out. Trailers were great, all that kind of stuff. Movie was fairly crap. Had its moments, but it wasn't very good, and I was kind of let down by it. So we got the new one coming out, and it's hard to be excited when the last one let me down. But their trailer they dropped the other day was pretty awesome. It was, I had a huge grin on my face. Does that mean the movie will be great? Not necessarily, but at least the trailer was good. Well, listen, that little trailer, that red band trailer, just shattered, and I mean shattered, the all-time record for a red band trailer's views in its first 24 hours. Deadline is reporting this. Mortal Kombat 2 Red Band trailer is a knockout with a record 107 million views. You want to put that in context? You see how impressive that is? This is the highest for Red Band trailer views in its first 24 hours. The last Mortal Kombat movie had 47 million. Deadpool 2's remember, this is the Red Band trailer, not their regular trailer. Their regular trailer is the all-time biggest trailer views ever, but their Red Band trailer, 52 million views in the first 24 hours. James Gunn's The Suicide Squad had 58.5, and that was the standard, Rob. 58.5, that was the record. Mortal Kombat 2, 106.8, rounding it out, 107 million views in the first 24 hours for a Red Band trailer. That nearly doubled the previous record. That nearly doubles the previous record. So the question is, how relevant is Mortal Kombat still? Because listen, I love Mortal Kombat. I mean, I was one of the original kids playing the arcade game, and I love the original movie and Mortal Kombat, you know, all that kind of stuff. But if you were to have asked me a little while ago, like they had a recent game come out a few years ago where they put Arnold Schwarzenegger in it and they put Homelander in it and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's fairly popular. But if you were to ask me a few months ago, is Mortal Kombat as relevant as it has ever been? I would have said, well, no. But Rob, clearly there are a hell of a lot of people that are at least intrigued by this. What do you think of these numbers? What do you think it means? I mean, again, it's almost doubled the record here already. What's your takeaway from this?
Well, first of all, why didn't Deadline go with the obvious headline? Not the trailer was not a fatality at the number. I mean, come on, Deadline, do better. Variety would have got that one. No, I think, John, you know what? I mean, we have a whole generation of multiple generations of people that have grown up with video games. I mean, the same way that if nerds like I am was alive watching how special effects technology changed from Star Wars all the way through the 80s, all the way up to Jurassic Park with CG dinosaurs, we have the next generation got to live through an era of video games going from 8-bit to the most powerful console games and PC games, where gaming has become a primary source of, or if not the primary source of entertainment for the younger generation. And Mortal Kombat was foundational. You know, I'm not saying it was the Star Wars of video games, but it certainly was up there in terms of games that inspired everything. You know, I mean, there's a whole lineage, everything from Street Fighter, my beloved Capcom games like Onimusha and Devil May Cry. You know, those were offshoots of what you saw in Mortal Kombat. And I think that the idea of Mortal Kombat, look, we've not got the Godfather of Mortal Kombat movies yet.
Not yet.
But I think that people hope. And when you see Carl Urban coming out, at least you're like, okay, they're on a path. And it's like, this path looks like a good one. And look, even me, who has a cold dead heart about these video game movies, looks at that trailer and goes, I'm not watching that.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
I got to tell you, I've been having a hard time mustering any enthusiasm for this movie again, because the last one I thought was quite disappointing.
Yeah, it was this.
Other than cutting a guy, freezing his blood, and then stabbing him with a spike of his own blood.
Because you wonder, why doesn't the sensibility that created that scene permeate the entire film?
Movie? Yeah, and like, again, I will never understand who sat in a corporate room and said, who should we make the title character, the main character of this movie? We got this huge pantheon of great iconic characters.
Great.
And then somebody raised their hand and says, let's use somebody nobody knows. Let's make up a whole brand new character.
An original character.
And then enough people in the room said, yeah, that's a good idea. Like, I literally would have taken a crap in my own hand and throw it at their faces.
That's like,
had I been in that room.
They could have said, you know, we don't have to have the Mario brothers in that movie. We could create a new Italian plumber. I mean, why would you do that?
This is Giuseppe.
New Italian plumber.
This is Giuseppe the plumber. Now, listen, I do want to temper, though, any like unrealistic delusions of grandeur about what this might mean for the Mortal Kombat box office, though, because again, as we saw on this list, Mortal Kombat, the last one, the Red Band trailer for it was one of the highest viewed Red Band trailers ever. That only equated to the movie making worldwide $84.4 million. It didn't even crack $100 million. So huge trailer views, especially with Red Band ones, do not necessarily automatically equate to massive box office numbers. I mean, with non-Red Band trailers, they can. Like, for instance, Deadpool 2, that clearly did. The Suicide Squad clearly did not. So, but we'll see. It still is nonetheless encouraging to see these kinds of numbers. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? With these, you can take that down now, Jonathan. What do you think about these numbers that we're getting in for the viewership on the Mortal Kombat trailer? I don't think it necessarily means there's going to be a bright box office future for it, but it is pretty impressive nonetheless, nearly doubling the previous record. Whatever you guys think about this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on and talk about this, shall we? You know, one of the movies people are most looking forward to this year, and I think it's safe to say will absolutely guaranteed be the #1 box office film of the year, is the third installment of the Avatar franchise, Avatar: Fire and Ash. And as luck would have it, the other day, they released the first official poster for Avatar: Fire and Ash. I don't know if you've got it there, Jonathan.
Yeah, I got it here.
That first there it is. At least part of it.
That was it. I mean, it was just the side of her face.
But I mean, you don't get the title at the bottom. Bring up my screen again for a minute. So there you go. So Avatar: Fire and Ash coming out December 19th. It's a nice little initial teaser. Because as Rob, as you like to call it, this is Avatar going into Mordor.
Mordor Navi.
And which looks pretty badass.
Forsaking Iowa.
Now, what normally happens when a poster gets released? Well, normally what that means, is that we're about to get a trailer. And we are. But it's only going to be playing in theaters, following in the footsteps of Christopher Nolan. As Variety is writing, that Avatar Fire and Ash trailer is to screen exclusively in theaters in front of, as we speculated a number of weeks ago, Rob, in front of Fantastic Four. Variety wrote the following. This weekend, theater audiences will get their first look at Avatar Fire and Ash, but only if they're seeing the Fantastic Four first steps. In a post on the official Avatar Twitter account, it was revealed that the first trailer for James Cameron's Avatar threequel will screen exclusively in theaters before the showings of Marvel. It said, Avatar Fire and Ash is set to hit theaters December 19th. The fourth and fifth Avatar films are set for December 1st, 2029. So we still got to wait 4 years for that one. And December 19th, 2031, respectively. Okay, so it used to be, back in olden days, that when you were looking forward to a trailer, you'd wonder which movie is the trailer going to drop with. Well, that's become an irrelevant conversation today because now trailers, almost 100% of the time, drop online before they drop in theaters. With the exception of one Christopher Nolan. He likes to drop his trailers exclusively in theaters and stuff like that. Well, it looks like they're going to follow the same playbook. And they're going to try to enhance the eventness, if you will, of Avatar by having it only playing in theaters, the trailer, and maybe try to get a few extra tickets sold for Fantastic Four. Say, hey, not only do you get to come and see Fantastic Four, which we're going to talk about in a bit, but you're also going to get to be the first people to see the new trailer for Avatar Fire and Ash. Now, what is it, 4 months ago? Yeah, about 3 or 4 months ago, we got to see the first footage, Rob. You and I got to see the first footage of Avatar Fire and Ash at CinemaCon in Las Vegas.
In high frame rate and in 3D.
In a Dolby presentation in that theater, and it was pretty impressive.
It was jaw-dropping.
Jaw-dropping. It
But it was
beautiful.
It was just a succession of scenes. It wasn't a trailer.
Yeah, visual shots. There was very little dialogue in it. It was just visuals that they were showing us, but they looked stunning.
But yeah, man, the Mordor Na'vi came from the air and attacked attacked our Na'vi in their airships. It was dope in those like magnetic mountains. I mean, you know what? I don't care what anyone says. I love Avatar. I think it's great. I don't care if you think it's Ferngully in space. I watched that stuff that they showed us at CinemaCon, and it was jaw-dropping. I mean, it was so cool. And I'm like, yeah, evil Na'vi, that's the ticket. They live by a volcano, because why wouldn't you? Geothermal power, man. If you don't want to stay in the water, you go to a volcano. Yeah.
You go to a volcano.
That's right.
Again, it looks brilliant. It looks great. And now I don't know if the trailer they're going to release in front of Fantastic Four is the same footage that we saw at CinemaCon. I don't know if it's because, again, that was months ago.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be in high frame rate or 3D either.
Yeah. So I don't know if they're going to show that specifically or if they're tailoring together it's an actual full new trailer to play in front of it. But I'm looking forward to seeing more visuals from this. And it's the right time to drop the trailer. Like, the movie is coming out in about 5 months. And now's the time to start ramping up the marketing campaign.
Plus, the Sully family is kind of like Reed Richards, Sue Storm, Johnny Storm, and Ben Grimm. They're a family too.
There you go. This Na'vi is sort of a family with Mordor. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? We're getting our first trailer for Avatar Fire and Ash, but it's not going to drop online. It's being released exclusively in theaters. I'm sure at some point they're going to release it online as well, but not on its opening weekend. Are you planning on seeing Fantastic Four? Here's a question. Have you been on the fence about maybe seeing Fantastic Four? And would knowing that this trailer is playing in front of it be enough to be that final little nudge to push you over the edge to go see it? I don't know. It's an interesting question. Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, listen, before we continue with this show, and normally we won't bring up anything that's like not movie industry related. This is nonetheless incredibly pop culturally relevant. Heavy metal icon Ozzy Osbourne has passed away. This is on Newsweek. At the age of 76. I thought he was older than that. but he has passed away at the edge. Now, I'm reading this for the first time. It says Ozzy Osbourne, the godfather of heavy metal and legendary frontman of Black Sabbath, has died at the age of 76, just weeks after sharing an emotional farewell with fans at Villa Park. The milestone concert featuring Metallica and Guns N' Roses marked his final bow after decades of genre-defining music and infamous stage antics. He was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease and has had ongoing health issues since a 2019 fall. The 76-year-old rocker performed at the from a throne on stage. What a great way to go. Thanking fans from the bottom of my heart. So Ozzy Osbourne, again, not movie related. We very rarely bring up non-movie related stuff here, but he's such a pop cultural icon. I mean, Ozzy was Ozzy when I was a child, man. He was doing his thing when I was a kid. So I've never been in a world that didn't have Ozzy Osbourne in it. Anyway, Rob, you're hearing about the passing of Ozzy Osbourne just now for the first time. What are your first thoughts?
Well, he was, the crown prince of metal. He truly was Iron Man, John. I think that Ozzy Osbourne is, you couldn't grow up, especially whether it was the 70s, whether it was the 80s, whether it was the 90s, whether it was the 2000s. I mean, Ozzy Osbourne and his wife, who also became, in her own way,
went on to become almost a bigger star than him.
And kids became pop culture icons as well. But Ozzy, man, you can't. When someone says it, I remember when Tom Sizemore says in Strange Days, in Catherine Bigelow's Strange Days, it's not whether you're paranoid, Lenny. It's whether you're paranoid enough. Yeah. I can't hear the word paranoid without hearing the song in my head. I can't. I mean, that's how many people leave this kind of. I mean, it's funny to think that we're now going to start losing our metal stars. But he was a pioneer, man. I mean, Black Sabbath. But you know what? I watched some of that concert. I didn't get the whole pay-per-view event, but I did watch clips. Seeing him up there, and he was sitting on this throne. Like you pointed out, I don't think there was a more badass way to go out. To have that concert and to have all of those icons and all of those supergroups perform around him. And what a tribute. And it was so great that he was at the center of it for real.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I can't imagine dying is a bummer. It's going to happen to all of us. But if you have to go, which we all will, that's the way to go. And I bet somewhere in his soul or in his heart, after he accomplished that concert, he was ready to let go of his pain.
That seemed like that way to the final chapter of it all.
So I would look at it as a triumph, a glorious way to go. And by the way, that he went out, he did like Frank Sinatra. He did it his way.
Yeah.
What a life.
Anyway, guys, again, I acknowledging not movie-related news, which we rarely do, but Ozzy Osbourne passes away at the age of 76. All right, guys. That down, let's move back on to what we're here to do, which is discuss movie news and stuff like that. This is interesting. Captain America: Brave New World. I'm not going to lie. I was pretty disappointed with it. I thought Anthony Mackie deserved a better written film for him. I mean, I've always had my doubts that I don't think you should carry on the Captain America moniker without Steve Rogers. I think I don't like the idea of just different people picking up monikers. Steve Rogers defined what Captain America was. He is Captain America. I often say Captain America is Steve Rogers is Captain America is Steve Rogers is Captain America, right? But Anthony Mackie's Sam character has been such a treasure in the MCU, and they did a good job kind of creating a transition with the end of now Endgame. At the end of Endgame, I almost said Doomsday again. With the end of Endgame and then with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they did the transition, but they just put together a pretty poor movie. Really, they put together a Hulk sequel, just took out Hulk and put in Sam, which was, I'll still never understand that rationale. The film also kind of struggled a bit at the box office. I mean, it made money that a lot of films would love to make. It made $415 million, but that's not great by Marvel standards, at any rate. Well, why did the film fail? Kevin Feige has a theory, and he says this. This comes to us from Screenwriter. Marvel boss blames Captain America: Brave New World's failure on replacing Chris Evans. It goes on to talk about this. During a conversation about the MCU's future with members of the press, Marvel Studio President Kevin Feige, via Deadline, claimed that Captain America: Brave New World's disappointing box office performance was because it was, quote-unquote, the first without Chris Evans. The Steve Rogers actor famously left the role behind in Avengers Endgame, where an older Steve gave Sam Wilson the shield. Okay. I have a couple of thoughts about this.
Oh, me too.
First, let me preface it by saying there are very few people in Hollywood I respect as much as Kevin Feige. I mean, what he has been able to do, what he did, what he accomplished. Hollywood has never seen, nor will it ever seen, anything with the success of the MCU ever again, right? It's just remarkable. But that doesn't mean you don't have your odd bad days at the office, right? Everybody does, and that includes Kevin Feige. So when he says, well, it failed because this was the first one without Chris Evans, I have several thoughts on that. The first one being, no duh. What did you think was going to happen? Steve Rogers is Captain America. And now you're having a movie with, like, and I said this from the beginning when Endgame came, I said, look, you can't, remember the big debate was, should Bucky or should Sam be the next Captain America? My answer was no, neither, because neither are Captain America. Bucky is the Winter Soldier. Sam is Falcon. Steve Rogers is Captain America. And Steve Rogers is Chris Evans. If they wanted to recast it, that's fine, as long as it's still Steve Rogers. So that was kind of my one thought. So yeah, no kidding that people weren't interested in a movie, or a number of people weren't interested in a movie called Captain America. Like, it would have been better, honestly, call the movie Falcon Brave New World. That would have been a better movie and would have played better, I think. But anyway, so my first thought when I hear Kevin Feige said, well, the reason this movie struggles is because it was the first one without Chris Evans. Well, yeah, of course. Guess what? The next one isn't going to do any better. But my second thought is this, is that Kevin is only half right. Did some people not have interest in it because that's not actually Captain America? Yes. But the second part of that equation that he's leaving out is, as I alluded to at the beginning, when you have a guy as charismatic and as talented as Anthony Mackie, you give him a better vehicle. Give him a better movie. Because yes, a lot of people didn't go see it because it wasn't Chris Evans, but then a lot of people didn't want to go see it because they heard the movie was crap. And then people in general didn't go back to see it a second or third time because the movie was, now listen, this is not one of the worst Marvel movies yet. It's not, it's better than Thor Love and Thunder. All right. It's better than Thor The Dark World. It's better than Iron Man 2. But it is one of their lower quality films. And again, it was a Hulk sequel. Just drop Sam Wilson into it for some reason. Sure, some people didn't go see it because it wasn't Chris Evans, but Kevin, who you are amazing, but you also have to acknowledge Captain America Brave New World was not our best effort. That was not our best effort.
No, it felt like a Disney Plus movie. Like a movie made for Disney Plus.
It felt like something they put together with the haphazard intention of putting together a Disney Plus series. Yeah. Not one of their better ones, like Echo.
Great reviews would have pushed this over 500 mil.
Yeah, I mean, look, if people liked it and it had glowing reviews and people came out buzzing about it and all that kind of stuff like they did coming out of Black Panther, you would have seen more people getting attention. You would have seen people going back for second and third viewings, and when going back, bringing new people to come with them. But it just didn't. And one of the biggest crimes I worry about, Rob, one of the biggest crimes of that Captain America Brave New World film is I fear they may have damaged the Sam character.
Oh,
because this character can be gold for your franchise if you utilize him properly. And my fear is that they may have damaged the image of Sam Wilson's character, which is one of the really strong things they've got going for them right now. Anyway, Rob, you heard Kevin Feige mention that, the reason the Captain America didn't do so well was because it was the first one without Chris Evans, as if the second one will make it any better. But I don't know. What's your response to that?
Well, I think you nailed it. I mean, the problem was it wasn't a very good movie. And it certainly wasn't a Captain America movie. It wasn't about Sam Wilson. And what I thought was, what I thought was a big mistake, and I think it was because of COVID. I think it was because of Disney Plus. The movie they should have gone with, a movie should have been Falcon and Winter Soldier, and made it. The Captain America movies, if you look at them, were political thrillers. You look at Winter Soldier, it's an action film. You had in Sebastian Stan and Anthony Mackie,
who had great chemistry.
yeah,
together.
you had Riggs and Murtaugh.
Yes.
And what you should have done
Yes.
is they all look at, they make heist movies, they make political thrillers. They needed to do Lethal Weapon. They needed to do a buddy cop movie post Thanos. Captain America is gone. There's a void in the world. The world's kind of a mess. What they were trying to do with the TV series was fine, but it was not kick-ass. You should have looked at Lethal Weapon and Lethal Weapon 2 and said, here's two guys. Sebastian Stan, no, don't put him in therapy. He's an assassin. He's a broken man. And then you've got Falcon, who's living in the shadow of Captain America, and you've got these two guys that have their own issues. And they have the shadow of Steve Rogers behind them, and they have to go solve some shit. And then you've got Poser, Captain America. You had the elements there, and you could have done some awesome, kick-ass combined Lethal Weapon and Lethal Weapon 2, and the whole thing is built on these two guys, kind of mismatched dudes, looking for themselves in a post-snap world. And what I don't understand is, and I get it, when they suddenly had to make TV shows, and then in the middle of Captain America or Falcon and Winter Soldier, the pandemic hit, and they had to rewrite it and all that. But no, what you should have done was a stripped-down, $100 million movie that was just kick-ass, practical action. Instead, why is the Red Hulk and President Jack Ryan and Harrison Ford and what's going on
and the leader
Josiah was they had the other Winter Soldier that needed redemption.
I was going to say this.
Sorry.
The best part of that movie,
Carl
part of that
Lumbly
movie was one of the most underutilized thing of it. It was Carl Lumbly as Isaiah. Like,
how do you not delve? I mean, all of that. You had all of the elements, and it should have been a 2 hour and 20-minute kick-ass action film.
Because you make that Riggs and Murtaugh movie you're talking about, and have Isaiah there. I don't know, as the Joe Pesci, maybe kind of some.
Well, no,
I was thinking more of the.
I
was thinking more of the captain, like the police captain.
Yes, that's
but he represents he represents the America that needs to be redeemed, or the world that needs to be redeemed, and he's a great character. And the fact that he was job done dirty in Brave New World. I mean, what they did to him was abhorrent.
But you know what I loved? Again, I thought he shone in that. And what I really loved about the way they used him in the new movie was, like, he's training Sam, right?
Yes.
And it's like, okay, like, yeah, you're Captain America now. I can still whoop your ass. And, like, even in the training sequence, their shows like, okay, this is Isaiah's still the man. How do you not use Carl Lumbly more in this movie?
They just made him like the confused boomer with the cell phone.
Yes!
Like, I don't know how a cell phone works.
Because the people writing, it's just, God, read a book, watch a movie before 1990.
No.
I mean, you look at this kind of stuff and you're thinking, at least I was thinking, I look at these, they had all the elements. And you know what? These two guys that are trying to figure out, what do we do in the wake of Captain America? You have another guy in Wyatt Russell, who's trying to be Captain America, but never can be, because he didn't fight in World War II. He didn't do those things. So these three guys, they could have been at odds, and they had all the elements in the TV show, but they should have made it into a movie. It could have been so good.
It certainly would have been better than Hulk 1.5.
Because what you're doing is, and if you're going to make a movie about Sam Wilson, make it about him.
Yes.
Make it about him. Make it about his journey.
And make it his story, don't hijack some other character's story in a half-hearted sequel.
And at the end of that movie, how great would it have been if he said, you know what? I know that Steve gave me this shield, but I'm not Captain America. I'll never be Captain America. I'm the Falcon. And end it, on that note, because nobody can be Captain America. Wyatt Russell becomes the U.S. agent or whatever, or nomad, call him what you want. But it could have been something great where these three characters realize, in the wake of Steve Rogers gone, the three of us together, it takes the three of us to fulfill the mantle. One's a super soldier who's kind of a nutty assassin. One's a great soldier. And you're a poser that's trying to figure out your place in the world. But the three of us, that's where the new Avengers should have began.
Oh. Anyway,
Thank you, Kevin Feige. I'm here all week.
What could have been. But anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about Kevin Feige's comments about that the reason that Captain America Brave New World failed was because it was the first one without Chris Evans? He's partially correct.
Of course.
He's partially
Of course.
right. But it's only kind of half the story on that. Anyway, guys, whatever you feel about it. Oh, what was it?
I was just going to say, you made a Black Panther movie without Black Panther that made a lot of money. They succeeded there, and you didn't have your star.
But only half of what the first one made.
But still, it was almost $1 billion.
It was almost 700 and something or 800 and something. Again, it was about half. It dropped in half. Again, you needed to make it his movie. Anyway, whatever you guys think about all this, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's talk about this. What day is it today? Tuesday?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm about 48 hours away from watching Fantastic Four. Whoop. I'm so excited. Got my tickets for 2 o'clock on
got
Thursday.
5 on Thursday.
You got 5 p.m. on Thursday.
Yeah.
When you got your first?
I can't go and see it until Thursday night.
Oh, because you're going to be in San Diego.
Yeah, because I've got panels.
Right.
So I've got 2 theaters in San Diego.
Oh, you're seeing it down there, though?
I don't know. I might come back up here.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's how much you love Harkins.
I love my Harkins Theater.
But
I
good on
love
you.
that CineX Theater.
Or maybe we'll have to visit it.
We should visit. We should make it your first stop.
It's first stop. So listen. So Fantastic Four, we're now in the final stretch. We're in the home stretch of getting to the movie coming out. But they're not done their marketing. They're not done. Because today, the Fantastic Four have done what is becoming a little bit more of a trend, slowly but surely. Release the first few minutes of the movie. And so what Marvel did is they just released, according to Comic Book Movie right here, Marvel Studios releases 5 minutes of the Fantastic Four First Steps. And it includes cameos, super apes, and more. So what they kind of did was, from what I gather watching the footage, I believe it's the first 4 minutes of the movie. And then the final minute is like a montage of other footage we've seen from other trailers. But still, a nice angle of that. I held his beginning. I held your end.
I love that.
That's such a great line. And, you get basically the groundwork. Okay, we're in this world. The Fantastic Four have been the Fantastic Four for 4 years. They went up in the... By the way, did you see the special where that rocket they fly is not CGI? That's a practical model that they did that way. Harken back to the great ILM days of Star Wars. Anyway, so... They get to see them. We don't get to see them turn into the Fantastic Four, but we see them, now publicly Fantastic Four. We see a bunch of things that are in the trailers, apparently from the first few minutes of the movie. Here's the interesting thing. As they're cutting to the crowds and the people saying, "Thank you, Fantastic Four. Thank you, Fantastic Four." Rob, did you notice who were in those groups of people?
Okay, I'm going to admit to you, I know who's in those groups of people, but I did not watch that clip because...
Oh, you didn't watch it?
No, on purpose. Because my friend told me, my friend who saw the movie and loved it, explained the opening of the film to me. And I knew from the trailers that we'd seen the big talk show and all that.
Right.
I was really excited to see what the montage of stuff from the comic books, and I'm like, when I saw it, I started watching it and turned it off. I'm like, I don't want to see this. I want to see it in the theater. But I know who was in. I mean, they did something pretty cool.
So in the collage of people who are thanking Fantastic Four are Alex Hyde-White, Rebecca Stabb, Jay Underwood, and Michael Bailey. You may not recognize those names, or maybe they're buzzing a little bit. That was the original Fantastic Four in the Roger Corman, the ill-fated Roger Corman Fantastic Four movie, and they got them and put them in this movie.
Genius.
That's great.
You know what? This is the Marvel of the days of yore. This is the kind of thing that they would have done in the first 3 phases. And they're going back to that. What a genius move. What a classy thing to do. And just what a fun thing to do. Bringing the fun back.
Experimental Films in the live chat is pointing out that the original cast was actually at the premiere as well.
Yeah, they were.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they were on the
really
red
cool.
carpet
Dude,
the blue carpet.
They had an awesome drone show at the end of that, too. When they came out of the premiere and everyone got to see a drone show, Fantastic Four, with fireworks and everything. It was so cool.
Well, here's the thing. There are going to be some people who watch this show and whatever and say, well, I don't want to see anymore. Okay. But you are the 2%. the vast majority of the movie going on is very excited to see this.
Yeah.
This will be the thing to push them over there. What's really cool is you get to see in it Reed using his stretch powers to like drop kick this super ape. It looked awesome. It looked so good.
The only reason when I saw what they were doing, I was so excited about that whole montage, that whole opening as it was described to me, that I was like, I want to see that on the big screen.
Yeah,
at
but
the Harkin City X Theater.
But remember, they're not making this marketing
I know.
for the 2% of us. They're making it for the 90%.
But I think they've released too much. But I understand why.
You know what? I had this conversation with somebody the other day who said, I think they're starting to show too much. And I thought, when you really look at it, if you go back to The Amazing Spider-Man 2, right? When you took all the TV spots, trailers, and all that kind of stuff, and not counting repeat footage, they showed about, 19 minutes of footage from that movie.
Yeah.
19 full minutes of footage of that movie in their marketing. With Fantastic Four, I don't know if that number is 5.
Yeah.
I really don't
true.
even, because
you might be right.
most of the trailers have been like a recut of footage we've already seen with maybe a 3-second extra thing here. And I think by the end of the day, it's maybe at most 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah. You know what else they've done? So this is the first time they've ever done this. Hot Toys.
I literally was just going to say this.
Hot Toys has put up for pre-order or all 4 of the Fantastic Four.
The thing looks amazing.
And they've created a new line of toys, and the first of which is like a 2.5-foot tall Galactus.
Yeah, it's awesome.
They've you still can't get a Dora Milaje figure. I've been bitching and moaning. I wanted a Okoye for how many years now? They've never made it. And they only made 2 of the Watchmen, and they come out guns a-blazing. That's because everyone knows. Look at
the thing. I want Herbie and the thing right there.
That is some dope. I mean, I am
that
in.
Looks awesome.
Doesn't that look great? Look
at that.
The
thing looks incredible.
Come on.
And
they've never done that before. They've never done all.
Here's scale.
They never look at it. Oh yeah.
So that's the Hot Toy, and that's the size of the Galactus.
That's the new. That's a whole new line of like Rotocast figures, and I mean, bring it on, son. Do you know who would have loved this? John Schnepp
would have loved.
He would have been going crazy.
So here's a question. Getting back to the 5-minute clip they put.
Yeah.
What do we think of this emerging trend of not, because Fantastic Four is just the latest movie to do it, right? We've seen previously other films adopt that idea of let's put out the first X number of minutes. Like here's a quick taste. Here's a quick sample of it. I know there are a lot of film fans who don't like it. I gotta tell you, I think it's a pretty good move and a good idea because it gives fans, again, it's the very beginning of the movie, so it's not really spoiling anything.
They did it with Dark Knight.
Of the feel, they did it. Yeah, they did it for the Dark Knight, and they've done it with others. It gives you a little bit of a feel for the movie. Sometimes not so good because they released the first 7 minutes of Craven, and I thought that first 7 minutes was pretty good.
I knew
the rest
better,
of the movie was crap, but. So what do you think in general of this kind of trend? Maybe not for every movie, but like putting out the first 5, 7, 6 minutes of a movie. What do you think?
Well, one of the things I think is genius is these clips are following up on a trend that's been going on for, I don't know, the last year, where studios are going back and releasing TikTok clips or Facebook Reels or YouTube Reels of scenes from movies. You know, random scenes, like they'll take a movie and break it into like 10 different parts. Like the John Grisham movie with Tommy Lee Jones and The Client. Is it The Client? I've been watching clips from that movie.
Well, they've been doing that on YouTube forever.
Right, but that's what I mean. But they're doing it more like and it makes me go, oh, where's I gotta go see that again. So they've been doing this with movies, older movies, and it works beautifully. My only objection with this is I've seen that movie before, and it makes me go, oh, I love that movie. I haven't seen that movie in 10 years. I'm going to go see it. I think they're showing a little too much, but like you said, we're the 2%. And if you get people to go, I mean, this is all marketing. And if you watch that little montage, I would imagine, because I was told about how fun it is, especially if you're a comic book fan, and you watch that, you're like, oh, you're getting a sense of the movie. And by the way, I walk around doing the whole Silver Surfer thing everywhere I go now. I walk into the bathroom if I have to go, and I'm like, hi, Harold. You know, it's beginning. Hi, Harold. It's ending. You know, Elizabeth's like, what do you do? What? I mean, I can't. I make a stand.
I need to hire a kid to walk into a room before me everywhere I go. I Harold is coming.
My dogs are looking at me this morning, and I'm like, I Harold this meal. You know, I look at the first one. I Harold the beginning. I Harold the end. They're looking at me going, what?
The problem is I blew it for myself because I had this image from Princess Bride of the priest, and I'm just like, oh no. Now it's I Harold Galactus.
Love.
Galactus.
Love. All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? Did you watch the first 5 minutes, or at least it's the first couple of minutes as well, some other footage that they put out? I actually thought it looked really good. I'm getting very, very excited for this movie now. Do you think maybe it's too much? Do you like this trend of putting out the first few minutes of a film? Do you think more films should do it? Do you think less films should do it? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.
I can't wait to see this movie.
Oh, I'm so excited. All right. With that down, guys, let's move on to this, shall we? Well, we've now got a DCU up and running. With Superman being out, we've, of course, talked about the success it's been having, still a 93% audience rating, A- cinema score. It's made more money in its first 10 days than the last 5 DCU movies put out there trying to correct all the damage done by the DCEU. You know, all that kind of stuff. It's all good. We've got a Clayface movie coming. We got a Supergirl movie coming. We got Peacemaker coming. We got Lanterns coming. We got a Batman Brave and the Bold coming at some point. But of course, one of the big names a lot of people are talking about is Wonder Woman. How are you going to do a Wonder Woman now? Well, we at least know this. We now know who's writing Wonder Woman. And it's really good news, but not so much for Wonder Woman as it is for another project. According to the Hollywood Reporter, Wonder Woman has brought on the Supergirl writer, Anna Nogueira, to write the script. She's also behind DC Studios' Teen Titans movie that she's trying to develop.
Hell yeah.
For them, which I know would get you excited. Now, she's mostly been an actress in the business. And the only thing she wrote before Supergirl was she did this really good little short film called We Win that has William Jackson Harper, who of course was from The Good Place, and then they even dropped him in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Yeah.
He's actually great. He's wonderful. Too bad about Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. But so she had written that, and so that landed her the gig to do Supergirl, and now they're going to bring her on to do Wonder Woman. Look, all I've ever seen from this girl is this little short film. It's not enough. I mean, I didn't read the script for Supergirl. I obviously don't know what the plans are for Teen Titans. I don't know what she's planning for Wonder Woman. But here's why this is great news, I think. Because it tells me, and we've seen this happen with Marvel a couple of times to great effect. It tells me they love what she did with Supergirl.
Yeah.
Like, if you are lukewarm, and I thought she did a pretty good job, you don't turn around and hand her your next one of your holy trinity projects with Wonder Woman. So if they have this person on and she writes Supergirl, and now they instantly turn around and they're handing her Wonder Woman, the only thing you can take away from that is they love what she did on Supergirl. And that, so it's kind of funny, Rob, we're sitting here talking about the Wonder Woman movie, but this is actually making me more excited for Supergirl. And, you know, James Gunn said recently, he was doing an interview, he was asked, like, why is the Supergirl movie the next one up as opposed to something else? And he said, because it was the best script. He said, we're doing this one next because it was the best one. It was the best script. It was the most ready to go. That's why we did it. How refreshing is it to have a head of a studio using that as their strategy?
I just love the fact that a studio executive has a finished script that they can comment on and go, this is why we're making it.
Yes. Isn't that nice? Wouldn't it be nice to see other studios do that as well? So at any rate, this is great. I can't say she's wonderful because I've only seen a short film she's done. But again, she's impressing the right people. And if they're that hot on her, then it just makes me more excited for Supergirl. Anyway, Rob, we've got our screenwriter for Wonder Woman. Remember, Wonder Woman is not greenlit. James Gunn is not going to officially announce that they're doing the movie until they've got a perfect script. But it sounds like they're marching towards that. What's your takeaway from this?
Look, I'm excited. I love the fact that even the choice of which Supergirl story that they're adapting, you know, like Marvel went back and they adapt Brubaker's run for Winter Soldier. Not exactly, but they look at that and they're inspired by a specific run, which lays out new characters and a story that they can adapt. The Woman of Tomorrow story, Tom King's Woman of Tomorrow story, is great. Yeah. And I don't think people understand it really is a journey of self-discovery. It's about somebody our Supergirl is broken because she is from Krypton. She did watch her planet destroyed. She did watch everybody she knows die. And that story has her and Krypto going off on an odyssey to help someone else. And I think it's you know what it is? It's a superhero story unlike any we've ever seen. And it makes sense to me that that script turned out to be the best script of the bunch, because it's really about something. And it's really a character study, and there's a lot going on, and it's not like it's a journey. And I'm really excited to see the Supergirl movie more than I probably should be, for that reason alone. And to know that the script was good enough that that's the first one they put into production means I think we're getting something special, and it's going to be a great follow-up. It's turned out to be a great follow-up to what James Gunn did, because you got a chance to introduce the character in the diametrically opposed way that we're used to seeing the most recent incarnation of Supergirl as a hot mess. You know, to me, she was half the girls I dated in my 20s, with a little dog with a sweater on. You know.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? We now know who's writing the Wonder Woman script. Will they get it to the place that they'll be ready to greenlight it? We'll find out. But it's the person who just wrote the Supergirl script. They're clearly really happy with it. But whatever your takeaway from this is, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, Margot Robbie has shown she has a bit of a talent for taking an old IP and turning it into a modern expression of it and really kill it. She did it with Barbie, and now, according to reports, this comes to us from Coming Soon, Margot Robbie is now set to star in the remake of the beloved sci-fi movie Attack of the 50-Foot Woman that apparently Tim Burton has been planning on making for a while. So now all the reports are saying that Margot Robbie is going to be starring in Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. She's also going to be producing the film, and that Tim Burton will be directing. Now, I've seen some people talking around online saying Tim Burton has debunked that he's directing this. No, he did not. What Tim Burton said was, he said, I'm not going to say I'm directing a movie until I'm on set directing it, because I've had a number of projects that I worked on for over a year and then never directed it, got taken away from me. That was not him debunking that he's doing Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. He's just saying, I'm not going to say I'm directing it until I'm on set and we're actually shooting the movie, which is understandable. The death of Superman lives, what happened, sort of thing. So that's understandable. So it'll be doing it with Tim Burton. It'll be making this movie. All right. I don't like this. I don't think anybody anywhere is going to have any interest in this film.
Oh, come on.
No, I'm serious. Like on any real scale, I don't think there's going to be any interest in this. I've never heard one person write into my show over the course of the 20 years that I've been doing it saying, you know what we really need? Another Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. What was that animated superhero movie they did where aliens versus something and they had like the giant woman in it? What, guys in the live chat, what was the name of that animated film? I'm freezing on it now. Somebody in the live chat is going to remember it. Anyway, Monsters versus Aliens. That was it. Thank you, Joseph SFL was the first one to do that. So you kind of had a rendition of that. I'm a little confused by somebody like Margot Robbie coming off of the biggest box office hit of the year, Oscar attention, all this kind of stuff. I do not see the appeal of this. I don't. Now, this is a good time for me to fully acknowledge and admit that God, she is stunning, isn't she? To
Yes,
fully
she
acknowledge
certainly
and
is.
admit that I also didn't have all the faith in the world that Barbie would have all that much attention. And as I've already mentioned, it went on to be the most successful film of the year that it came out. But again, I just don't see there being a large audience going, yeah, Tim Burton, Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, sign me up. I'm a little perplexed by this decision, to be honest with you. I don't know that it'll sell today the way that it did before. But I would be more than happy to be proved wrong about this. Anyway, Rob, I mean, look, any filmophile has a special place in their heart for Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. But do you think there'd be interest for a modern retelling of it today? What do you think?
Well, I'm interested in a 50-foot Margot Robbie, if you know what I'm saying. No, but, they did remake Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. I just checked the date.
In the 90s?
In 93 with Daryl Hannah
Yeah.
playing the 50-Foot Woman.
Right. I
Yeah.
totally forgot about that.
Look, I think as always, I mean, you go into a studio executive's office. Yes, this is an IP we could bring back from the dead. I mean, it's an absurd idea. However, like you pointed out with Barbie, it all comes down to the execution.
Yeah.
And even with Tim Burton directing, that could be either hit or miss. And I think that the way that they took this Barbie movie and turned it into a really interesting, it had a lot of social commentary. It was a lot of fun. It knew exactly what it was. I think Noah Baumbach and Greta Gerwig did a great job crafting a script out of what could have been hot garbage. And again, I would be curious to see what comes of this. Now, it could be a total disaster, and you could be right. Like, who's going to have interest in this? But if they do something that has something to do with the modern age and incorporate our social media drenched world or something in it the same way that Barbie exceeded any expectations I would have had, I think it could be fun. I mean, Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, it better be fun, because I don't want a Sophie's Choice version of Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. I want something that, I mean, this artwork, this is the original key art, the one sheet. It's one of the most famous.
Oh, one of the most famous
50s
ever. In history,
ever.
Yeah.
And it makes me want to be one of those guys running on that freeway. If you look at the whole poster, I'm just saying. But I'm in on this one.
Now, look,
make it good.
I'm also going to go sacrilege here because I know people hate it. I'm not a big Tim Burton fan.
Right.
He definitely
He's very hit and miss.
He definitely has a couple of films I absolutely love. He absolutely does. But when I look down, here's the last number of things that he's directed. Beetlejuice, which I know a lot of people liked, but quite frankly, I don't know what you were watching. A lot of people liked it, and I acknowledge that, and I'm glad they did, but I did not think it was that strong. I really didn't think it was all that good. People love Wednesday. Gotta give him that. People love Wednesday, and they're really looking forward to it. Then before that, he did Dumbo, which wasn't terrible,
but
it was not all that good. Before that, he did Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, which was a neat idea, but not very good. Before that, he did Big Eyes, which was interesting.
I like Big Eyes.
I didn't think it was great, but it was okay.
It was about a real story.
Then before that, he did Frankenweenie, which was okay. Then before that, he did Dark Shadows, which I didn't think was very good. I mean, again, it's practically sacrilege in this town to say anything other than Tim Burton is one of the greats of all time. But I just don't see that being one of the selling features to get me excited about this either. So, I mean, I don't know.
I'm with you. I mean, look, my favorite movie that Tim Burton directed was Ed Wood. Oh. I love Ed Wood. It's an incredible film. I think I love Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I love
Sweeney Todd.
I loved the first
Sweeney Todd's
Beetlejuice.
great.
Yes, but an adaptation of a play. But
Batman,
Beetlejuice,
Pee-wee.
even I like Batman Returns, but his stuff he's very kind of very hit and miss. Tim Burton has the soul of an animator.
He really does.
And if you go back and you look at like two of the greatest animated shorts ever are Frankenweenie's live action, but Vincent is one of the great live action. Vincent's one of the great animated shorts ever made of all time.
I remember watching that as a child. It was running like randomly on. This is going back to the 80s on the Disney Channel, and you know, there's certain points in your childhood where you see something and it like affects you on a different level. It almost spooks you in a way. Not like,
Yeah.
oh, this is spooky, but like it spooks your psyche in a way, and it lingers with you. And then you're like, I don't know what that was that I saw as a child, but for years I was like, what was that I saw, until I learned about directors and then his work, and I was like, it was that.
Yeah, no, it especially because Vincent Price, and I was like, if you're what they call a monster kid, that was probably the most affecting animated short ever. And then the Frankenweenie live action that the feature was based on, that short film is incredible. It's so good. But again, it was those ideas were so great in where they existed. And Beetlejuice, his collaboration with Rick Heinrichs, Beetlejuice was a perfect example of taking his animated sensibility and putting it into live action. I mean, that film is. And then you go to Edward Scissorhands, same kind of thing. And
some of his animated stuff, like his animated features, are like incredible.
Oh, Nightmare Before Christmas.
It's been a while since he's done something that I've really liked.
It's funny to me because the best Tim Burton things are the things that came out of his imagination, where he loved Dark Shadows, the show, growing up, but it wasn't from him. You know, and A Big Fish is another great Tim Burton movie. And I think that Ed Wood is such a great movie with such a great cast, but it even that movie feeds into his sensibilities. I think that Tim Burton, when he's working within his sensibilities, he's great.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? According to reports, Margot Robbie is going to be starring in Attack of the 50-Foot Woman remake, directed apparently by Tim. I almost said Robbins.
Burton.
Tim Burton. Why did I freeze on Tim Burton for a second? Anyway, guys, I got to admit, I don't see the appeal, and I don't think this is a great idea. But we've seen some films that I didn't think were such great ideas that I ended up loving and were fantastic. I don't know. How are you feeling about it? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's go on and talk about this for a second, shall we? You know, whenever the conversations are going around online about Avengers Doomsday and stuff like that, you've probably seen a lot of headlines going around saying, they're shooting Avengers Doomsday and the script's not even done yet. Yeah, you've all seen it. You've seen those reports going around. My God, they're making this movie and they don't even have a finished script. Well, Kevin Feige kind of addressed that and has debunked that nonsense. But he said they're doing something on Doomsday that they do with almost every single one of their movies. This comes to us from the folks over at Total Film, who wrote, at a press event, Kevin Feige denied that Marvel has ever started a movie without a full script. But he did say he's never been happy with a script or even a finished movie. It's kind of George Lucas like that. George Lucas always kind of felt that way. Instead, he said he and Marvel prefer plussing at every turn. In fact, there is plussing occurring on the set of Avengers Doomsday as we speak. This is what he said. There's plussing happening every day on Avengers Doomsday set right now, and it is amazing to watch because what those filmmakers, those actors, both the ones that are playing these characters for the first or second time and the one playing them for the 10th or 12th time, are the best in the world at it and know these characters so well, Feige said. So if they have an idea, you want to listen to it and you want to adjust to it, so you want to improve it. I wouldn't want to change that. All right. A little bit of background on how Marvel has always made their movies. And it was pretty unique at the time when they started, but they've done it every single time. Kevin Feige has often talked about the fact that you never really know what a movie's going to be until you actually get on boots on the ground and start making it, right? You can have a script and things can come across a certain way on a page, but maybe sometimes they start coming across a little bit differently on a set. Now, for 95% of movies out there, too bad. You've got a fixed budget, you got so much money, and it costs money every hour that you waste. So you make your script and do the best you can and put it together in the edit and put the movie out. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not. But for Kevin Feige, he said it's always been their thing that they try to remain a little bit more nimble when making their MCU movies. That if they're shooting a scene and something comes to life in a way that you didn't expect on the script, don't be afraid to follow it a little bit and maybe flourish it or build something around it a little bit if you can. That's part of the reason why Kevin Feige has said every single Marvel movie, they plan reshoots in advance because they know they're going to have further ideas along the way of making it. And they already book their time and budget to go into reshoots and to kind of explore some of those new ideas. As a matter of fact, famously, I think it was Thor 2. I think it was Thor the Dark World, where they were kind of struggling. Like the script wasn't coming to life as they were shooting the movie as much as they wanted to. And so they famously got Joss Whedon, put him on a plane, flew him down there, and for 2 weeks kind of rewrote some pages and some dialogue. And those actually ended up being the best parts of the movie. But that's just what they do and what they always do. However, reports that come out now and people forget that and they go, oh my God, they don't even have a finished script. So Feige is now completely debunking. Of course we have a finished script. We're just doing what we do on all of our movies, which is we adapt. We'll write new pages on the go, depending on the feel of the movie and how it's flowing for us. So Rob, I look at this, to me, this is business as usual for Marvel. There's nothing new here. Of course they go in and start production with a finished script. But of course, as they have always done, they have the money and the flexibility to adapt as they go and, as he calls it, plussing things. I don't know. Are you surprised to hear this? What do you think of their approach? Sometimes it's had great effects, sometimes not so much. But what's your thoughts on this?
Well, first of all, you have to have a sort of a semblance of a finished script because you need to budget and schedule a film.
Yes.
I mean, you have to know how many days they're shooting, how many pages are we going to shoot a day, all this. There's all these questions to answer, and that's what a script is the basis of. That said, like Kevin Feige points out, if you go back and you listen to stories, Jeff Bridges tells a story about how on Iron Man 1, they would go into a trailer and it was him and Favreau, who's a gifted writer, and he's in there with Robert Downey Jr. and the three of them came up with better dialogue scenes and better things that happen. I mean, I'll bet you that in the back of the Humvee at the beginning of Iron Man, when they're throwing gang signs, that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of that was Robert Downey Jr. improv, and they go with it because when you have a guy, Robert Downey Jr. has been acting since the 80s. You have to be, if you're an actor at some point, you are a fan of the written word because you're acting written words. And so if you're a gifted person and you're a witty human being, you can come and your character, you come up with things. And I think they've talked about that all through the history of making these Marvel movies, that Chris Hemsworth tells the story about a kid coming to visit the set of Thor Ragnarok, and the kid visiting set said, why don't you say that he's a friend from work? And Chris Hemsworth, that's where that line comes from. And that kid who was visiting set said this, and they throw that in, and that becomes, he's a friend from work. That's what
I love that they're not so precious with their stuff, that if they hear a great idea, they don't go, get out of here with that. Like they're kind of open to say, if something sounds good, something works, let's incorporate it.
I mean, it's not like the theater. It's not like you're doing Arthur Miller or David Mamet or something. I mean, and that's what makes these movies fun. And if somebody hears if you have a great idea and somebody hears a great idea, and what is a movie set, but it's full of professionals working at the top of their game, all knowing what they're doing. And if they have a good idea, my favorite director, Stanley Kubrick, used to send his assistant out to all the different department heads every day before they started shooting and said, Mr. Kubrick would like to know, what are your ideas for the day? Is there anything you could, and he would use those ideas. If you want to be a tyrannical, despot on a set, you're going to miss out on all the great people that are working for you. And that's one of the things that you have to be open to. And I can only imagine all of the actors on the set of Doomsday, that has to be one of the funniest, one of the most gloriously entertaining movie sets to be on. I can't even imagine getting a shot off, because how are you going to contain all those people? It'd be like herding cats. It's going to be, if nothing else, I expect some of that energy to come out and be in that film. I can't wait. I mean, look, it's either going to be one of the greatest movies ever made, or it ain't going to work at all.
Oh my God.
But I'll tell you this, I really want to see it.
Yeah. Again, listen, look, the track record of the Russo brothers and Kevin Feige working together is perfect. It is literally perfect. The 4 movies that the Russo brothers and Kevin Feige have made together are Winter Soldier, Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame. That's the track record of that combination of people.
Four
working
of the
together.
greatest comic book movies ever made.
Yeah, 4 of them. They're in all 4 of them are in the conversation. That said, Marvel, and I'm a huge Marvel fan, but Marvel the last couple of years have been more hit and miss than they've ever been. Some great ones, some not so great ones. And I am a massive Joe and Anthony fan. I love those guys. They've always been very nice to me. They've been very generous. They're fantastic. I love them. But their work since Endgame, their work not working with Kevin Feige in the pursuing years, I'm not going to lie, and I'll only speak from my own personal perspective, has not been their best stuff. I don't think I have truly loved anything they've made since then. So, I mean, I think you're right. I think it can go either. Like, are we going to, now that Kevin and the Russos are together working on something, we're going to get that Civil War magic back? Or are we going to get the hit and miss and the not so great stuff?
I don't want the
I don't
electric
know.
state, and I was really looking forward to that.
And
I
it
don't
was
want the
not so good.
electric state of the Marvel Universe.
Don't be the electric state of the Marvel
Yeah.
Universe. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Kevin Feige's shooting down the things that they don't even have finished script. Yes, they do. They're just doing what they've done on all their movies. They adapt. They write new stuff as they go because it's starting to come together and they see it coming to life on a set. That doesn't necessarily happen when you're just reading the script. Anyway, good move, bad move, whatever you take away from it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? There's a little movie called Fantastic Four coming out, and it comes out on Thursday, and we talked the other day about the first reactions, and the reactions were through the roof. I mean, I'm sure there were some out there that I didn't see. Okay. I'm just saying my personal experience was I didn't read out of the 4 or 5 dozen of them that I read. I didn't see a single negative one when I was reading through the reactions. Now, today though, this morning, the actual official trailers dropped. Okay. The trailers dropped. Or not the trailers, I'm sorry. The actual reviews dropped. The full reviews have now come out. And what we have seen traditionally lately is that when the full reviews come out, they're usually a little bit less enthusiastic. Sometimes still very good, but oftentimes they're a little bit less overly enthusiastic as the first reactions. Well, the reviews are now here with 105 registered reviews in. Fantastic Four is holding at 89%, which is higher than Superman. Higher than Superman. So let's go down and let's take a look at some of the reviews. I'm reading these for the first time, guys. Lamplight Reviews wrote, it's the first time in a long time that the Fantastic Four have felt like more than just an IP Hollywood didn't quite know what to do with it. Randy Meeks wrote, Fantastic Four is the film that proves that superhero fatigue can be solved with movies that truly want to innovate. We go down to Punch Drunk Critics wrote, the Fantastic Four First Steps has panache, a retro future energy capturing the hopeful sci-fi tone of the 1960s, and best of all, it's just a hell of a lot of fun. Don Shanahan wrote, living up to its subtitle, to venture into a higher level of solidarity, the Fantastic Four First Steps presents the proper elevated level of accountability and character correction that comes with family.
That's nice.
Forbes wrote, rather than plodding towards a destination, the Fantastic Four First Steps has a real sense of purpose and forward motion carried along by its own momentum rather than needing to be pushed.
Wow, and Forbes not taking a shot? That's pretty
Yeah.
good for Forbes.
Cinemovie wrote, a stylish, soulful, and refreshingly different superhero film, one that proves the MCU still has new ground to break. Fandom Wire wrote, although it's arguably plays it a bit safe may be exactly what the Fantastic Four needed considering the team's rocky history of cinematic adaptations. Cinemania wrote, a heartfelt homage to the comics of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, invoking their cosmic, utopian, and wacky spirit through humor, but without falling into self-parody. That's actually important. Film Threat wrote, Fantastic Four First Steps is good when it should have been great. So the most negative one we've read so far is that it's good.
Right.
Okay. Chris over at 3C Films wrote, the MCU nailed it. The stakes are high. All 4 members of the team play the roles exceptionally and share perfect chemistry. Galactus is a spectacle that must be seen in IMAX. Best balance of tone and in an MCU film in a long time. Actually, I'm going to go back up and I'm going to check to see what the top critics say. All right, Newsday liked it, saying strong performances and gorgeous production design enhance an otherwise middling Marvel installment, but they liked it. New York Post didn't like it. New York Post says, First Step marks a slight improvement from the preceding trilogy of terror, but Marvel still can't nail what should be one of its premier attractions. Movie Mom loved it, saying, after 3 unsatisfactory tries, Marvel Studios got it right. Gorgeously produced, well cast, dazzling visuals, gracefully relegating the origin story to a few archival clips, which I like it when films do that, especially ones where we've already had other iterations of the characters, and putting our quartet and us right in the middle of the action. RogerEbert.com wrote, this is a solid, intelligent, occasionally inspired comic book movie that delivers most of what popular audiences demand from the genre, plus a little bit more. Rolling Stone writes, to say that the version we get in Fantastic Four First Steps is the best screen adaptation to date of the group means that the low bar has been cleared, though the world building around them is truly an achievement. The San Francisco Chronicle wrote, the keys to its success is its focus on family and hope. Rob, your Seattle Times wrote, First Steps is the movie this family of heroes deserves. It's heartfelt, action-packed, and just plain fun. Fantastic indeed.
Nice.
And we'll end off with here, the Associated Press writes, especially for a superhero team that's never quite taken flight on screen, First Steps is a sturdy beginning with impeccable production design by Kasra, I'm not going to try to pronounce the last name, and a rousing score by Michael Giacchino. Then we see Independent liked it, Empire Magazine gave it a positive review, The Times did, Screen International didn't like it, Bloomberg didn't like it, Slant Magazine did, Daily Telegraph did, Irish Times did, Entertainment Weekly like it, Film Verdict, I'm surprised Alonzo didn't like it.
Yeah.
Financial Variety liked it. Variety's last one there says, true to its subtitle, the film feels like a fresh start. All right. This is great. This is great because listen, I'm going to tell you, we've said this all week, for the last week or so, but it deserves to be repeated here. The marketing campaign for Fantastic Four through much of its campaign did not do much. It really didn't. You know what? It started with that terrible opening announcement day.
Oh,
remember?
yeah, that was awkward.
Where it's like, okay, the first Fantastic Four thing at 8 a.m. I'm in a hotel in my hometown of Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. I get up early in the morning because the Fantastic Four stream starts whatever. And it was literally 27 hours of just this countdown clock. All right. And the old 1960s.
Right. It was radio chatter.
Yeah,
and I love radio chatter. But
like it was hours of that.
You told people to be ready. And then you made them sit through that. That was...
And then they, again, all due respect, I don't know who this person was at all. And I'm trying not to be mean, but they did this horribly planned impromptu interview where they had the host girl stand there and they brought out the cast and it's like at a space center or something. That was painful to watch. And then they showed the first thing and it was all right. And the first couple of trailers were okay. They weren't bad, but again, this marketing campaign did nothing for me until Marvel finally said, you know what? The trailer company we've used has not done the job, right? They've not done the job. Let's just start putting out some clips. And it was the clips that started getting me excited for the movie. And culminating in this 5-minute thing that we got today. That's made me really excited. But it is really good to hear that the full reviews, even coming from the top critics, is like, they've done it. They finally cracked the code to Fantastic Four. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to like it when I see it, or I'll like it as much. But right now, it's got a better critic rating than Superman does. I mean, this is what we've wanted to hear. So anyway, Rob, are you surprised to hear these reviews? What are the things from the reviews that are standing out to you a lot? What's your takeaway from it?
Well, it seems to me that they succeeded in setting out to make the movie they wanted to make. I mean, it was a bold choice to set this on its own earth, to not delve into the history of the 616 universe. I thought that was a great choice. Having Matt Shakman direct probably was the best choice, coming off of WandaVision, which was, people forget, that was a pretty wacky show.
Yeah.
Going in, I mean, it didn't start out in any traditional manner. And then, of course, they cast, people have been complaining about the casting and Pedro Pascal being everywhere. They knew what they were doing. Everyone talks in every one of these reviews how great the cast is, how much chemistry there is, the family element. They went back, and what are they giving us? The classic Kirby Stan Lee, probably the thing that is most associated with the Fantastic Four, which is Galactus. And the idea, they brought in the Franklin Richards character, which is, if you know your history.
I'm still shocked by. I'm still shocked that they did it.
But his power, it makes sense when you think about it, I think. And I think the way that they've gone about this is, look, do I expect this movie to be the second coming? Is it going to walk on my imaginary water? No. But it's going to be a film that I think is true to what they set out to make. And I think that's all I've ever asked for any genre film. As much as I love science fiction, fantasy, and horror, I don't care if it's low budget, high budget, whatever. If the filmmakers successfully achieve what they wanted to achieve, we win. And it doesn't matter what budget level you're working at. I mean, Escape from New York was not really expensive movie. They made it for less than $5 million, but everyone loves Snake Plissken. Everyone loves Escape from New York. And with this, I think people you know what this movie is? People are rooting for Marvel to come back to where it used to be. Because people love Marvel movies. And they really do. And when they were hitting the 23 movies of the Infinity Saga, even Thor the Dark World and, Hulk, and people still wanted them to be good, and they mostly delivered. And I think people want to get back to that feeling. They want this movie to be good, and Marvel knew they wanted this movie to be good, and I think they've done everything in their power to make the best Fantastic Four film they possibly could, and apparently they have succeeded.
Yeah, listen, I'll tell you the thing about that is that we were just recently, earlier in the show, we were talking about Captain America: Brave New World. It's movies like that, shows like Echo, or movies like Black Widow, which was not terrible. Black Widow wasn't terrible, but shows like Echo, and it's when Marvel...
Secret effing Invasion.
Oh, the
most disappointing thing, and I'd read those scripts.
The script read well, at least the first number of episodes.
Yeah.
But these things, while they have disappointed us, they just make me yearn more to get back to that quality. Because, this is the phrase I've been using, Rob, is that here's how you define that really represents the difference between Marvel pre-Endgame and Marvel since Endgame. Before Endgame, Marvel films, they weren't all perfect, right? But Marvel films were so consistently good that when a new Marvel film came out, some of you know what I'm going to say, we went into them expecting them to be great.
Yes.
So every time a new Marvel, it didn't always work out that way, but every time a new Marvel film came out, we just expected it to be great.
And even when we suspected, it's like people did not know the Guardians of the Galaxy was going to work as well as it did. People were looking at it going, what is this?
But we believed in Marvel. So we went in expecting every new movie to be great. Since Endgame, the fundamental shift has been, we now go into Marvel movies hoping they'll be good.
Yeah.
We went from expecting them to be great to hoping it'll be good. And listen, if they can actually nail this Fantastic Four movie, and we can have Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four back to back, like two really great movies. Because I don't care what happened at the box office with Thunderbolts. That's a great movie. I really enjoyed that film. And if they can follow that up and we can get two back to back, I will feel much better about the future of the MCU. Because like in the meantime, we also got Ironheart, which I did not think they did that character justice at all. So, I mean, if we can get 2 movies in theaters back to back really good, it'll be a nice way to lead into 2020, the rest of 2025 and 2026.
And apparently, look, we got Wonder Man coming that I've heard is good at the end of the year.
I hope it's good. I don't think it looks that great, but I hope it's good.
I hope it's good. And then, of course, the new Spider-Man movie we're getting in a year.
Theoretically. Theoretically, we're getting it in a year.
Theoretically.
So we'll see.
Yes.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? The full reviews are now out for Fantastic Four, and they're pretty darn great at this point. Actually, kind of carrying on the momentum that we got from the initial reactions. Are they where you thought they would be? What's your expectation right now going into Fantastic Four? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, it's time for us to head into the most important part of our show, which is, of course, taking your comments and questions. But before we do, a couple things we got to handle. First of all, saying good day to writer, director, producer Robert Meyer Burnett. Great job as always, sir.
Well, yes, I'll say good day and cheerio to all our viewers.
And of course, before we get to your questions, we also need to take a quick moment here and thank the sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show, our friends at BetterHelp. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, BetterHelp. You know, it feels like workplace stress is higher than ever these days. And I was just reading that about 61% of the global workforce is dealing with above normal levels of stress. And honestly, it's not surprising. When you're stuck in endless Zoom meetings, juggling deadlines, or just trying to keep your head above water, it adds up. Now, sure, a quick vacation sounds nice, but let's be real. It's not a long-term fix. What's helped me is building small wellness habits. For me, it's things like getting outside in the sun for a few minutes or squeezing in a brisk walk during breaks. But for a lot of people, sometimes that's just not enough, and that's where therapy can really help. BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform with over 30,000 therapists who've already helped over 5 million people worldwide. Their app is super convenient. You can meet with a therapist with just a click, and if it's not the right fit, you can switch therapists anytime. And just listen to the user reviews. The BetterHelp app has a 4.9 out of 5 from over 1.7 million reviews. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Unwind from work with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/Campea. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at BetterHelp for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys, with that down, let's get over to your question. We're behind. So we still got to get caught up because, again, we didn't do any of the questions on Friday. I was in Vegas yesterday. So let's get through some of these questions you guys have been sending in over the last few days.
All right, this is a carryover from yesterday. Mega Red, this is about the James Gunn interview. Also confirmed Challengers director Luca no longer involved with Sergeant Rock. No 2 Batman films on same calendar year. Disappointed with the Luca news personally, but he did say, this isn't a thing, but he did say Luca's working on another movie for him. What do you speculate the Superman follow-up is? Clark and Kara team up?
I don't really care. Whatever James Gunn wants to give us.
They have a plan.
I'll be honest with you. I don't think the Sergeant Rock movie is going to happen. Like, again, that was a movie that was never greenlit. They were developing it. They were looking at it. I honestly won't be surprised if this movie just doesn't happen at all. I think this is one that might get killed. I don't know that. I'm just guessing. I'm just speculating. Okay, I could be totally wrong. But my thought right now is probably won't happen at all. All right, what's next?
We got Dan V. Christopher Miller said the reason for pushing beyond the Spider-Verse 3 weeks to 6/25 was for a better IMAX window. Feels like a reaction to Odyssey to me with those ticket sales. 5/28 is Starfighter if it happens, and How to Train Your Dragon 2 is 6/11. So maybe just trying to wedge it in all that.
Yeah, could be. I still. Here's the funny thing: like when you see a movie move by a couple of weeks, it's like all the information you're talking about is information you had before when you scheduled it before. So. I don't really get the 3-week move. And listen, I'm also at a place now where I have kind of changed my perspective that I've held for most of my movie punditry life, which is I've come to realize, at least in today's audience, maybe not yesterday's audience, that you can have big movies release in subsequent weeks. Maybe you don't want to release them on the same day per se, but it's not so bad putting out a movie and then having another big movie open in a week or two. It's just, I think the movie going patterns have changed than they were a few years ago, but we'll see more once we get into next year. All right, what's next?
Robot Man says, so my family and I saw Superman on Saturday. I wanted to see it, but it was my uncle who called my mom and said, let's go. More of that multi-generational thing. He bought his son's and his wife's ticket. The movie was great, and as soon as it was ended, my aunt asked me about Fantastic Four. Kevin is Jamie's #1 fan. I don't get that part, but that's cool that sparked excitement.
Listen, we talked about this on the show yesterday, right? It is not a coincidence that the opening weekend box office projections for Fantastic Four took a sudden jump after the rave reviews for Superman came out. And that's what we've been saying this whole time, right? We've been saying for months that the thing that stands to benefit the most from Superman being really good is Fantastic Four. Because if people go out to the theaters and see Superman, and if they have a great time, then they are more likely to say, well, we got another big comic book movie coming out in like 2 weeks. Let's go see that. It doesn't make it a guarantee, but it increases the likelihood. It is not a coincidence that after Superman came out and all the rave reviews and reactions and audience scores and all that kind of stuff, that all of a sudden that Fantastic Four opening weekend box office projection jumped like 15%. It's not a coincidence. And, that's where Kevin Feige said a rising tide can raise all ships. And this is one of those situations where it could be true. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, I've heard a couple of tracks from the Fantastic Four score and was moved to tears. Giacchino cooked.
Man, I'll tell you what. It was, I think, over a year ago. I went to the Hollywood Bowl with Ann to their Infinity War concert. Marvel did this big Infinity War concert where they had a big orchestra playing through all the major events of the entire Infinity War leading up to Endgame, right? And after it was done, Kevin Feige came back out on stage, and it was a fantastic night. Kevin Feige came back on stage and said, we got a special treat for you. You guys know we're doing a Fantastic Four movie. And here's the guy who composed it, Michael Giacchino. And Michael Giacchino comes out on stage, and then the orchestra, for the very first time, played the theme to Fantastic Four. I actually recorded it on my phone, and I put it up on the YouTube channel as well. And we were all like, holy crap, I don't know if the movie's going to be any good, but this music is amazing. And yeah, I can't wait to hear it. And by the way, that's one of the things a lot of the critics are writing about in their reviews is that Michael Giacchino's score just rocks in. I can't wait to hear it. All right, what's next?
Anonymous, what's your favorite surprise heel turn on film? For me, it's Sam Rockwell in Charlie's Angels. That's a great one. Lighting the cigarette and doing his Sam Rockwell dance in the black tank top. So good.
One of the best heel turns?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, you got a heel turn and a twist with Usual Suspects, I suppose.
I mean, yeah, that's a huge one.
Oh, I got one because it's one of my favorite movies. It's Hollywood or LA Confidential.
Oh yeah,
Dudley.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Captain Dudley, man.
Captain America: Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
with Robert Redford.
Yeah.
What's another? I'm sure there's. If I could sit down and think about it, I'd come up with even more big ones. But off the top of my head, that's all. That's a good topic.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
We got Grizzly Strong. Hello crew. Did you see the latest Horowitz interview with Gunn? Tons of good nuggets. What caught my ear was the situation with Cavill. Seems like he was throwing shade at The Rock. Let me know what you think. I did not take it that way.
You are never throwing shade at somebody if you never even mention them.
Yeah.
If somebody's throwing shade at somebody, then they will call them out and throw shade. So for those of you who didn't see it, you guys know I love Man of Steel and I love Henry Cavill. And a lot of people are like, what's going on? Like, why did they announce James Gunn rebooting it on the same day that they announced Henry Cavill coming back to play Superman again? And James Gunn kind of finally put the record straight. And he said, we had no idea. He said, him and Peter Safran, we had no idea. We didn't know the day they were about to sign the contract to become the new CEOs of Disney or of DC. He said, we had no idea that they were getting ready to announce that Henry Cavill was coming back as Superman. And Henry Cavill put out that social media post saying, I'm coming back as Superman. I'm taking the cape out of the closet. I'm going to be Superman again. And James Gunn did not name any names, but he just said there were people involved that were trying to force their hand, that were trying to manipulate the situation. And James Gunn said, ultimately, this was the person who was most screwed by this and was most unfair to was Henry Cavill.
Well, the lame thing is, like, you're back as Superman. Congrats. Oh, James Gunn needs to talk to you down the hall. And they left it with James to, like, be like, hey, man.
Yeah, then James Gunn and Peter Safran had to play the heavy to break it to him. It's like, no, there was always the plan that we were going to go in a new direction. And I love the way James Gunn and Peter Safran handled it, because they could have gotten on the phone with Henry Cavill and say, look, I don't know what these other people have told you, but that's not what's happening. James Gunn said it was only right that we sat down in person face to face with Henry Cavill and let him know. And he specifically said there were these other people who were trying to make a power play and trying to manipulate the situation. It's almost like force that, well, we've put it out as public now. Henry Cavill's back. Now you have to do this. Now, James Gunn never mentioned The Rock. He never even implied it was The Rock. I think just a lot of the rest of us are assuming it was Dwayne Johnson that was trying to pull the strings and was trying to force Warner Brothers into a corner and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, look, the fact that Black Adam movie couldn't even make $400 million is a testament to that James Gunn and Peter Safran absolutely were the right decision and made the right decision. And again, they said the person that this was most unfair to was Henry Cavill. And they said Henry Cavill was the most perfect gentleman. He said he couldn't have taken it better. He couldn't have been better. We would love to work with him again sometime. They said he was just a consummate professional about the whole thing. But I love the fact that they said that we couldn't call Henry Cavill and tell him this, that somebody out there is screwing him over. We had to bring him in and we had to sit down and talk to him face to face. And I really respect that. I respect that a lot. All right, what's next?
Manny H says, just want to send a recommendation in case you haven't watched. Sorry, baby. Had no idea what this movie was about, but I'm so glad I've watched it. Even though it was a heavy subject matter, it's smart, heartfelt, and totally original. Sorry,
Which
baby.
one is Sorry Baby again? That sounds really familiar, but I'm not. Let me see if I can find it here. I feel like I should know what this is. Oh, okay. I know this film. I did not watch it. But I saw trailers for it. It's the one with the girl with the cat on the poster.
Okay.
But I remember seeing some ads for it, but I never did see it. So I didn't even know it was playing in theaters anywhere. Maybe it's not playing in theaters anywhere. All right, what's next?
Okay, we got Benji Worldwide. Hey, John, I remember hearing that the actor who played Joffrey in Game of Thrones quit acting due to the hate he received due to how great he played the character. So seeing him play a fairy in season 2 of Sandman put a smile on my face. Man, I love this show. Well, he loves acting and he needed time to like heal from all that toxicity.
Which again, is so ironic because it's a testament to how well he played the character. He was also the kid in The Dark Knight or in Batman Begins.
Yes,
right?
he was. He was the son.
I mean, that's, you know what's funny? I've never even watched, I still have not watched season 2 of Sandman. I loved the first season of Sandman. I've just never for some reason, I don't find myself being interested in watching season 2. And that is inexplicable because I really like season 1. So I don't know what's going on with me with that.
Jeez, what did they do to the actor who played, what's his name? Not Joffrey, but the even worse guy from up north that took over. I'm drawing blank now, but Ramsey.
Oh, yeah. Oh. All right. You know, he went on to then star in, he was one of the stars of that ill-fated Marvel show,
yes,
The Inhumans.
Yes, The Inhumans.
All right, what's next?
All right. Oh, thanks, Daniel. By the way,
thank you, Daniel.
We've had some super stickers, some really like 20 and 50 and $1.99. I can't remember all the names, but
that was from Yoshi. Yoshi sent in a couple of those. Yeah.
Spencer, Hot Toys just revealed their Fantastic Four figures on Instagram. I only have one hot toy, Baby Grogu, but I think I'm about to have 5 more. I have to at least get the Galactus figure that stands almost 28 inches tall. The detail on these figures is crazy.
The detail on the hot toys are always crazy good, but the problem is I still have 4 or 5. I can't remember because they're just really expensive. Like I can't justify spending the money, but they are so gorgeous. I mean, that Galactus one, I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that's going to be $900, maybe $1,000. I don't know. I'm just guessing, but I'm going to guess that Galactus one is going to be like $900 to $1,000. Anyway, all right. What's next?
We got Heffy Master says, with the Netflix Gen AI question, isn't one problem they have that Gen AI content can't be copyrighted unless there's a certain level of human effort? Does it mean AI soundtracks, etc., could be used elsewhere, anywhere by anyone?
Yeah, so one of the big major things that have happened, and I haven't kept up with this, but the last I remember hearing is that basically a court ruling came down that basically said if you create something with AI, you can't copyright it. Yay. So you better be careful what you create with AI because it doesn't belong to you. Somebody else can use it. So, but that won't hurt something like Netflix, who are just using AI to show a building collapsing. Like, okay, you want to use that footage of a building collapsing in something else? Be our guest. Like, it's not like they were using it to create their lead character or anything like that. But that is going to be something that will impair or at least make people pause before using and over relying on AI too much. Because if you create something with AI, it doesn't belong to you. All right, what's next?
All right, Raymond says, Verada, for the second weekend, Superman in IMAX was still packed, and some people are still seeing it for the first time. Judging by the reactions, like the Supergirl cameo, the kid with the the S flag teared me up. Someone brought a dog dressed as Crypto. Is that even allowed?
That's funny. And actually got our dog Dune a red cape. But she hated it. Dune hated it. She just wanted to take it off. So we couldn't keep it on her and we had to take it off. Yeah, I was really stunned because listen, comic book movie fans, when there's a comic book movie they want to see, we tend to see them right away. Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday at the latest. And I was really quite surprised that like Superman's Monday was the second biggest Monday of the year. Its Tuesday was the biggest Tuesday of the year. Its Wednesday was the biggest Wednesday of the year. Remember, we had movies, we had billion-dollar films like Lilo and Stitch and almost $1 billion film in Minecraft come out this year. And it was beating their numbers. And then it had a really strong second weekend too. Now, it's going to be really interesting to see how it does on its third weekend with now Fantastic Four being out. But, I mean, again, you guys know for 2 years I've said Superman will not make a ton of money. It can't because it's got this huge lead weight around its neck called the failure of the DCEU, which made the entire movie-going audience abandon DC. So it was just a foregone conclusion. I've said for 2 years that Superman will not make a ton of money. But that's not the important thing. The important thing is, does it start the process of taking that lead weight off its neck? Does it start the process of winning the audience back so all of the future DCU can be more successful? It's doing more money at the box office than I expected, but it's good to see regardless. All right, what's next?
P-Word says, hi, John and crew. Oh, no, sorry. Screen Speak says, John, I saw this weekend that the runtimes for Stranger Things Season 5 are 2+ hours, and the finale is 3 hours. Do you think that's accurate or not?
I don't think that's accurate. Now, I've heard that the episodes are going to be quite long, and that's good. And there might even be 1 or 2 episodes longer than 2 hours. I'm going to doubt that that's true. It very well could be. I don't have any insider information, but I'm going to say right now, I doubt that that's accurate. All right, what's next?
P-Word says, hi, John and crew. With Clayface coming out in 2026 and the Deathstroke and Bane announcement last year, what do you think of this approach? Could make Batman feel more like urban legend, myth, and I think it has the potential of building the world around Batman first.
Maybe, but I don't think that's the plan. I don't think that's the strategy. Like James Gunn has said, we will put a movie into production once we have the best scripts, whatever comes out. Like, again, we were talking about earlier in the show that Supergirl is the next movie coming out, not because that's the strategy, but because Supergirl was literally the most amazing script they had and it was ready to go. So they did that. So it very well could work out that way, but I don't think that was their predetermined strategy. It's going to be interesting to see how it does unfold though. All right, what's next?
All right, we got Samuel Lamar Jackson, who says, "Congrats on the van. I hope you make your way through Baltimore during the travels. I don't think there's a better city to watch an NFL game. I'd like to see a Ravens game, probably. The energy at M&T Bank is like nothing else. Try to make it to a game. Ravens versus Rams, October 12th."
Listen, I've been to a Ravens versus Rams game. Ann and I went to this Rams game, and the Ravens were coming into town. Here comes Lamar Jackson. If I'm not mistaken, I think Lamar threw for like 6 or 7 touchdowns that game. Like, he just ass whooped the Rams. I think I blinked and they were up like 40-0 or something like it was one of the, like, every single possession they were scoring touchdowns, every touch, like everything. So I've seen Lamar versus the Rams enough. Thank you very much. But yeah, hopefully maybe I'll get a chance to go out to Baltimore as well. All right, what's next?
Dad jokes. Hi, John and crew. Have you seen the trailers for the new Apple show Chief of War? I'm very excited, and it looks to have a Shogun type feel to it, but Hawaiian warrior and myth theme. Looking forward to it. Thoughts?
I'm not going to lie to you. I am a, pardon me, I am a big Jason Momoa fan. All right. I love Jason Momoa. But I don't think it looks all that good. I just don't think it looks all that good. I've been waiting to get excited about it. So, I mean, maybe it's, but you know what? The other thing is too, the other series he did on Apple TV, that series C, that's one of the only things Apple's ever put out that I also didn't think was very good. It's not Jason Momoa's fault. But anyway, I hope this thing is good because it's Jason Momoa, so I'm definitely going to check it out. But right now I gotta admit it's not getting me excited yet, but I hope it turns out to be really good. All right, what's next?
Vicious with a $20 tip.
Thank you, Vicious.
Keep in mind, this was 2 days ago, so this is for today. But hey, John, my girlfriend and I are in Vegas this Tuesday for the week. She's set on seeing Beyonce. If you're free Friday 25th Eve, would love to catch up with you and the team for the Fantastic Four movie. Long shot, I know.
Well,
you're back.
I was only in Vegas for one night. We just went out there for one night. By the way, so Anne, it's going to be a good show because Anne went to a work conference in Chicago about a month or two ago. And we got there, she just realized, oh, Beyonce's in town tonight. And she went to the Beyonce show and she said it was remarkable. So I hope you guys have a good time at it. All right, what's next?
Austin, hey, John and crew, love the show. You mentioned that you and Ann had been playing a lot of Mario Kart World a few weeks ago. What do you think of it? And do you or Ann have some tracks you really like, race tracks, and find really fun or pretty to look at?
We like them all. I mean, I don't keep track of the tracks. We literally just load it up, go to some track and play. I gotta say, I love the game. I really do. I like some of the new mechanics too. Anne's obsessed with the grinding, the rail grinding. She thinks that's great. It's visually really cool. Yeah. And there's a new, oh damn, what was the tool? There's the feather tool now where it's a good way to avoid, the shells coming at you. Anyway, we've just been having a lot of fun with it. It's a joy. Now we just started playing Donkey Kong. That new Donkey Kong game just came out and Anne is obsessed with it. And I got to get around to start playing. I played just like 2 minutes of the updated
Breath of the Wild
that they updated for the new Switch 2. And it looks beautiful. I'm just waiting to get some time that I can actually get in there, start playing that a little bit too. All right, what's next?
Oh, we got the Black Knight, Austin. Yeah, Black Knight. Because nobody saw the Carl Urban Judge Dredd movie. Is there an argument that you can use to use him again? Either equal or brand new story. Just don't put 2 in the title, which nobody does anymore.
No, they did it. They tried that. They already went down that route. It didn't work. I mean, the movie was great. I loved it, and I love Carl as it. But if you're going to make a new movie, you don't like. I've been saying this for decades. I mean, when you're making a new movie, you don't go back and just use the same things you did before. You can't do the same thing again and expect different results. So what's the point? Carl was great as that version of Dredd, but nobody went to go see it. So now you make a new Dredd. And Hopefully you get somebody else in the role who's great. Carl Urban is magnificent, but he's not the only guy who can play the role, right? Other people can come in and play it great if you get the right person to match him to the way you're going to do the character. So no, there is no argument to be made that they should just go back and use Carl again. It's a new version. It's a new rendition. Bring in a new actor to play him. Carl's busy, by the way. Carl's got a lot going on, so he's doing just fine. All right, what's next?
The Black Knight is back. It says, for years, I always thought that both Apple and the Fast and Furious franchise were using Roman numerals. I assume the phone and the movie were actually the 10th in the series, but because they used X, everyone pronounced it X like Superman did. Well, that was because it was after Fast 9.
Yeah, it was literally Fast 10.
Yeah, they used that is the Roman numeral.
What does that have to do with Apple?
And and Apple X. Which was that not the 10th?
Was that not the iPhone 10?
Might not have been.
I thought it was. You might have just proved your point if I thought it was. But yes, Fast and Furious X was indeed Fast and Furious 10. So, yeah, I thought the iPhone X was indeed the iPhone 10.
Oh, yeah, he was right. His first inclination was correct. It was Roman numerals.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
Okay, we got James UK. In no particular order, apart from my number one, my top 5 films this year are Sinners, Thunderbolts, Mission Impossible, Final Reckoning, and F1. No surprise, my number 1 is Superman. I love this movie. I've seen it 5 times, 2 in IMAX, 1 in 40X. I'm a punk rocker. Yes, I am.
I think
I'm just glad the teddy bears are getting some love for that song. That's an old song.
everybody still thinks Iggy Pop when they think it, even though it is a teddy bear song.
Yeah.
Everybody just thinks Iggy Pop because I mean he does the vocals for it.
I immediately when the title credits came up, I'm like, that took me back to like 2006 Coachella when they performed it with him.
By the way, Yoshi just put in
Yeah, I'm
another
gonna
super chat
bring
badge just
that
to be
up.
supportive.
Boom.
Thank you,
There we
Yoshi.
go.
That's incredibly generous of you, man. Thank you so much. Now I forgot what was in the last.
Let's see.
What was you just talking about? The last chat.
Well, the punk that song, and then he saw it 5 times
favorite
already.
movies of the year.
Yeah, favorite
Yeah,
movies.
I think for me, I love Superman. I think it's my 3rd favorite movie of the year right now. My favorite is, I still think Sinners is the best film of the year. I think I like Thunderbolts. You got to remember, I love Thunderbolts. Like I love that movie. I think I might still have that as my number 2 of the year. And then I might have Superman as my number 3 right now. Then there's some other really good ones. Anyway. All right. What's next?
Okay. 1A says, I was rewatching an episode of Arrow season 5, Prometheus, my favorite season. And it's weird thinking that it was 8 years ago. Does it feel that long ago? For me, yeah, because a lot has happened since. I was 15 at the time, but it feels 6 months ago. By the way, Prometheus is the best Arrowverse villain ever.
I didn't like it at all. I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't like the Prometheus thing at all. It is weird. Something else came up about somebody reported it's been X number of years since Arrow ended. And I'm like, oh my God, was that long ago? Was it that long ago that Arrow ended? Arrow was a show that I admit at first, I was like, I don't think this is a good idea. Like, I don't think that people are going to be interested in this. I don't think it's going to work, all that kind of jazz. And then I fell in love with that show, particularly in the first couple of seasons. I thought Stephen Amell was just the freaking man in it. He wasn't the strongest actor in the world when that show started, when Arrow started, but he got better and better with the show. And I remember some of you may be newer around here, may not know this. So Ann and I used to do a little Arrow after show for fun. And then one day we're doing the Arrow after show and a bunch of people start writing in the live chat, somebody tell John that Stephen Amell is trying to reach him. I'm like, what? And sure enough, Stephen Amell had put on, here's this picture. Stephen Amell was trying to tweet me and get my attention. So he asked for my number. I sent him the number. Then he called into the show. And then he said, hey, do you want me to come in and we'll sit down and talk about the show? I said, sure. So Stephen came in and started talking about the show. Here's a bunch of pictures. There's Ann with Stephen there.
Was it at the stream?
That was when we were shooting stuff over at the stream.
Okay.
There's Stephen with my wife, Ann. which by the way, if it looks in here like people are maybe a little intoxicated, it's kind of because everybody was, except for me. I was the only one who wasn't drinking. It was me, Anne, her friend Corey, and Steven, and everybody was getting a little bit blitzed. Again, I don't drink, so I was the only sober one, but Steven, Corey, and Anne were all kind of blitzed. But anyway, around season 3, the show started to lose me a bit because they started to move away from the core characters, and they got into the Captain Buckles thing with the Laurel stuff, which was just terrible and kind of made me lose interest in the show. Steven was always great, but I kind of lost interest in the show. I thought the writers were just letting Stephen Amell down. But anyway, yeah, again, season 5, the Prometheus thing, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm not taking that away. To me, though, I didn't quite like it very much. All right, what's next?
All right. Well, you're not going to care about this one much, but Patty says via Deadline, the next James Cameron project. This weekend, singer Billie Eilish announced, "I'm working on something very special with somebody named James Cameron. It's going to be in 3D." Your favorite, John. James Cameron doing a 3D concert experience. Count me in.
Have they actually officially said that's what it is, or could she be alluding to something else?
I don't know.
Because I read that. My first thought is she's going to be doing a piece of music for Avatar, like she did for James Bond. I could be wrong, and maybe
That's
they did.
true.
Make
She could be doing it. Yeah, you're right.
Or maybe they did make an official announcement. And I don't know, but I don't know. We'll keep our eyes open. All right, what's next?
Right. Clear this. Bond, Andrew Bond. Hey, John, huge fan of the show. After Superman, I'm insanely excited for the future of the DCU. What's your thoughts on Anna Nogueira being tapped for Wonder Woman script? After writing Supergirl and supposedly finishing Teen Titans, it seems like James Gunn loves her.
Well, again, we talked about this a little bit earlier in the episode. It's good that they've got a screenwriter for Wonder Woman, but what it really does is make me more excited for Supergirl, because clearly they love her work. If they're willing to hand her one of the trinity of DC, Wonder Woman, arguably the most critically successful one they did in the DCEU, then they must be thrilled with the job she did on Supergirl. So it's kind of exciting for me for Supergirl. All right, what's next?
Stillman McShave, concerning physical versus digital media, there's some truth to saying you don't really own a thing if you can't sell it.
Yeah, that's true.
The problem is they're cutting off our supply of players. So how do we play the things of physical media?
Again, look, I'm not going to relitigate the entire physical versus thing, but the reality is the reason I completely got away from physical media, and I haven't bought a disc in at least a decade, is number one, my digital movies are never lost. They're never damaged. They're never not available to me when I need them. If I'm on a plane flying to Toronto, I don't have my Blu-ray with me. And if I'm just suddenly in the mood that I feel like watching Batman versus Superman, I don't have my Blu-ray with me, but I can load up my device and I can watch it. If I'm visiting the Campea Ranch up in Canada and I want to watch, Usual Suspects, I just can, because I can just stream it from my digital thing. It's with me everywhere. It doesn't take up a mountain of space in my home. They never get lost. They never get damaged. They never get whatever. And like even Rob, I was talking to Rob, like even Rob himself, he's like, I couldn't even tell you how many discs I've lost over the years. Right? I don't know a single person that has ever not lost a disc. And anybody who says they haven't is lying. It just happens, right? So to me, digital is the far superior, but it has major drawbacks. It absolutely does. The fact that you don't actually own it is, that's perplexing. Then again, Rob's probably about 90% of Rob's DVD collections, he's probably never actually put in the player and watched. He just has it, right? Because he's a collector. That's important. But anyway, that's why I converted to digital, even though it does absolutely have its drawbacks. I just think the drawbacks of physical are even more limiting, to be honest with you. Anyway, all right, what's next?
Sin Vendetta. Unfortunately, I was heavily affected by the closer of Xbox movies and the TV app. I have thousands of movies and a few hundred TV shows bought on that service, and now I can no longer add it as a new service to buy movies on. I'm leaning Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing about that news, the silver lining, I should say, is that like they're not taking away any of those. If you bought, they're still there. You can still access them. You can still play them. But the fact that you cannot use that as your main library anymore because you can't buy any more movies, you can't buy any more TV shows.
Yeah, you have to be like, part of my collection's here, part of it's there.
Here's a question I have. There's a service called Movies Anywhere where it's like you can get a Movies Anywhere account and you can load up that app and you can connect all your various digital stores to it. And like all your movies, like, cause I own some, I use Google Play Store as my primary digital thing, but I have bought a couple on Amazon and maybe one or two other places. And so when I go to Movies Anywhere, I load up Movies Anywhere, it pulls in all my movies from all the various retailers. I'm wondering if you are somebody who bought some movies through the Microsoft or Xbox store and you have a Movies Anywhere account, do they still exist on your Movies Anywhere account? I'm just curious if anybody's has had that experience with that. I'm curious. I see people in the live chat saying they have Movies Anywhere, but do any of you have Movies Anywhere and you've also bought some of your movies through the Microsoft store? I'd be curious to see if, oh yeah. So Patrick is saying if you have them in your Movies Anywhere library. Okay. So there you go. So that's a good thing. All right. What's next?
Okay. Sean Savage with a $20 tip.
Thank you, Sean.
Hi, John et al. New viewer to your channel. Love the content.
Oh, thank you, man.
And insight. Saw Superman. Loved it. Man of Steel still a shade better in my opinion. However, we can enjoy both. Yes, we can. Looking forward to Fantastic Four. All the best from Scotland. I love Scotland.
This again, I don't rank any movies on all time lists until I've sat with it for a while, like a number of months. But if I was pressed for an answer today, what is my favorite Superman movie? I'm still going to say Henry's Man of Steel. But again, I'm not one of these losers that thinks if I like something, that means I need to hate something else. I mean, there are people out there who just didn't like Man of Steel because they didn't like it, and that's perfectly fair. There are people out there who didn't like Superman just because they didn't like it, and that's perfectly fair. But there's also a bunch of troglodytes out there who just believe I belong to this tribe. Therefore, if I like this, I have to hate that other thing. And I'm not one of those fucking pathetic losers. I am somebody who I love that I get to live in a world where I have both Henry's Man of Steel and the new James Gunn Superman, and I love them both. I think they're both great. It's just a sad, pathetic world where you think, if I love this, that means I have to hate this other thing. It's this pathetic tribalism that really first kind of reared its ugly head back in the whole DC versus Marvel idiocy. Movies are good or movies are bad, and it's okay to love them both. And I think both of these movies, they're very different from each other. The Superman and Man of Steel are very different movies from each other, but that's great that they're so different. They gave me two totally different looks at The Last Son of Krypton, and I think they're both wonderful and they're both fantastic, and I get to love them both. Anyway, all right, what's next?
Anonymous, same continuity with new actors worked when it was Keaton, Kilmer, and Clooney. Still the same Batman. Treating film like comics with longevity in mind would benefit from recast, but keep story moving forward. No different than a new artist taking over a book.
Yeah, so we were talking about that yesterday about the possibility of them, Kevin Feige dropping the hint that they may be recasting Tony Stark. Like, we're still going to have Tony Stark, but it's going to be a new actor now. And one of the benefits of that is that like in the comics, like in animated shows like the 20 plus year running Simpsons show, is that Tony Stark doesn't turn 65. Tony can always be the age you want him to be. James Bond can always be the age you want him to be. And
can I always be the age I want to be?
Wouldn't that be great? And so that's really something that will work in their favor the longer the MCU goes. All right, what's next?
Daisy, hey guys, I was thinking about the possibility of a new actor for Tony, and I don't think this will happen, but I thought it would be funny and entertaining if they had a young adult Tony join the MCU and interact with Riri. Just a fun thought. I would not like that. No,
you can't do that at this point. Like, you can bring in Tony to still be an adult, whatever guy, but you can't suddenly make him a guy in his early 20s. You
Yeah.
can't suddenly do that. Like Tony it's just like Bart. The next episode of The Simpsons doesn't have Bart as a 5-year-old. Bart is always this age. And you can do that, but no, I don't think they'll do that. It just breaks continuity too much. All right. We just got time for like one more. Then we're going to have to cut it off today. All right. What's next?
This is a nice one. Hey, it's Enrico Palazzo. Hey, John, the Sphere in Las Vegas is amazing how immersive it can be. I was there for U2 with my wife in 2023.
Nice.
It was out of this world. I'm surprised you passed on YouTube being such a fan. Was that the one because Edge wasn't playing with them?
No, I'm not just a big fan of U2. They are my all-time favorite band. And for some of you who don't know, up until I was like 20, I played in a lot of bands. I actually considered for a while trying to do music as my full-time thing for my life. That was what I was going to pursue until around 21, 22, I realized I wasn't good enough to do that. But I played in a lot of bands, and my number one musical influence is U2. I still think they are the greatest band of all time. And I've seen them live many times. I've seen U2 live many times. So Ann and I had this very packed weekend in Vegas where we were going to see Bad Bunny, and then the next day going to see the Toronto Maple Leafs, who were in town in Las Vegas, my all-time favorite sports team, playing the Golden Knights. And then the third night, we were going to go see U2 at the Sphere. And we had all the tickets. But by the time we got to that third day, we were both wiped. Like we were both, because it's also Las Vegas. There was not only were we going to these big events, we were also doing all this other stuff during the days.
Right.
And it was like, you know what? I want to see the Sphere so bad. And we got these 6U2. I just didn't have it in me. And we didn't go. And now that I went to go see that show the other night in the Sphere, now I really wish I had gone to see U2 in there. So yeah. All right, guys, listen. We said we were going to get all caught up today, and we clearly didn't. That's okay. It's already past 1 o'clock. With the show's been over 2 hours already. So we're going to have to cut it off there. But we did get pretty well caught up. We're getting there. We're almost there. We will continue to get caught up on tomorrow's show. And guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show a part of your day. Listen, big special thank you to all you guys who did send in those questions. And guys like Daniel and Yoshi sending in just little super chat badges in the live chat. Thank you so much for that, guys, and supporting our channel on that level. Big thanks, of course, to Robert Meyer Burnett, our producer, Jonathan Voico.
See you guys later.
My name's John Campea, guys. Hope to see you again tomorrow. And until then, my friends, bye-bye.